For centuries, the grand narratives of history have largely centered on the powerful. We learn of kings and queens, generals and emperors, the wealthy and the influential. Their decisions, their conquests, and their policies often dominate our understanding of the past. Yet this traditional lens offers only a partial view of how societies truly evolve. A deeper, more nuanced truth reveals the profound and often overlooked impact of the poor, the marginalized, and the dispossessed on the course of human events. These groups, driven by desperation, profound injustice, and an unyielding yearning for a better life, repeatedly challenged the established order. Their collective actions, born from necessity and courage, forced significant societal shifts throughout history. They were not merely passive recipients of fate, but active agents of change. Their struggles and triumphs remind us that history is not solely written by the victors or the privileged. It is also forged in the crucible of everyday life, by those who had little to lose but their chains, and everything to gain by fighting for dignity and justice. Peasant uprisings represent a recurring and often violent phenomenon throughout history, particularly during the feudal era. These revolts were not random acts of defiance, but were fueled by systemic oppression and unbearable living conditions. Oppressive taxation, often levied arbitrarily, stripped peasants of their meager earnings and resources. Land scarcity, exacerbated by the enclosure of common lands and the consolidation of estates, left many without the means to sustain themselves. The pervasive feudal exploitation, which bound peasants to the land and demanded their labor and loyalty without adequate recompense, created an explosive environment. Consider the Jacquerie in 14th century France, a brutal uprising born from the devastation of the 100 Years' War and the nobility's perceived failures. Peasants, pushed to their breaking point by famine, plague, and crushing taxes, rose up against their lords. Though ultimately suppressed with extreme violence, it sent a clear message of deep-seated discontent. Similarly, the English peasants' revolt of 1381 saw thousands march on London, demanding an end to serfdom and fairer taxation. Led by figures like Wat Tyler and John Ball, their rebellion shook the foundations of English society. Despite its eventual defeat and the execution of its leaders, the revolt contributed to the gradual decline of serfdom in England. The German Peasants' War of the 16th century, inspired in part by the Reformation's calls for social justice, was perhaps the largest peasant uprising in European history. Millions of peasants and commoners took up arms, demanding religious freedom, economic relief, and an end to feudal abuses. This widespread rebellion, though brutally crushed by princely armies, highlighted the immense pressures building within the Holy Roman Empire. These rebellions, despite their frequent brutal suppression, demonstrated the peasantry's capacity to organize and rise against their oppressors. They served as a crucial pressure valve, releasing pent-up frustrations and forcing the ruling classes to acknowledge the plight of the common people. Uprisings instilled a profound fear in the aristocracy, compelling them to consider reforms and concessions to prevent future insurrections. In some cases, these persistent challenges contributed significantly to the gradual erosion of feudal systems, paving the way for new social and economic structures. Beyond the dramatic, often violent, peasant rebellions, grassroots movements have played an equally pivotal role in shaping modern societies. These movements, often less about direct armed conflict and more about sustained social and political pressure, emerged from the collective struggles of ordinary people. They represent the power of organized, persistent action by those at the bottom of the social hierarchy. The abolitionist movement stands as a powerful testament to this. It was driven primarily by the moral outrage and lived experiences of enslaved people themselves, who constantly resisted their bondage through various means. Their narratives, their escapes, and their unwavering demand for freedom galvanized sympathetic individuals and groups across society. This broad coalition, through petitions, protests, and political advocacy, ultimately dismantled the institution of slavery in many parts of the world, fundamentally altering the moral landscape of nations. the labor movement, another transformative force, emerged directly from the struggles of industrial workers in the 19th and 20th centuries. These workers faced grueling conditions, dangerously long hours, and meager wages, often living in abject poverty despite their essential contributions to economic growth. They organized, formed unions, and engaged in strikes, often at great personal risk, to demand better treatment. Through decades of relentless struggle, the labor movement fought for and won crucial rights that we now often take for granted. Key gains included the establishment of the 8-hour workday, a revolutionary concept at the time that dramatically improved workers' quality of life. They secured collective bargaining rights, empowering workers to negotiate for fair wages and conditions rather than being at the mercy of individual employers. Improved safety standards in factories and mines, reducing countless injuries and deaths, were also hard-won victories. These grassroots movements, whether fighting for freedom from slavery or for basic worker protections, were fueled by the collective action and unwavering determination of the poor and working classes. They fundamentally altered the balance of power between the powerful and the powerless. Their efforts not only improved the lives of countless individuals, but also laid the groundwork for broader social justice movements that continue to this day. The impact of these movements, from ancient peasant revolts to modern grassroots campaigns, extended far beyond their immediate goals. They fostered a profound sense of collective identity among marginalized groups, transforming isolated individuals into a unified force. This solidarity became a powerful engine for change, enabling these groups to advocate more effectively for their rights and interests. By their very existence, these movements challenged existing power structures and forced societies to confront uncomfortable truths about inequality and injustice. They highlighted the inherent flaws in systems that exploited or ignored the needs of the majority. In doing so, they provided a vital platform for new ideas and ideologies to emerge, questioning the legitimacy of inherited privilege and advocating for more equitable distributions of power and resources. Their struggles contributed significantly to the evolution of political thought, pushing concepts like human rights, social welfare, and democratic participation to the forefront. They demonstrated that true social progress often originates not from the top down, but from the bottom up, driven by the persistent demands of those most affected by injustice. The history of the world, therefore, is not solely the story of the powerful and their grand designs. It is equally, if not more profoundly, the story of the poor, the oppressed, and the marginalized. Their collective action repeatedly challenged the status quo, forcing societies to evolve, adapt, and at times fundamentally transform. Their struggles, though often fraught with immense hardship and sacrifice, left an indelible mark on the fabric of human civilization. They remind us that the pursuit of justice and equality is a continuous process, one that is perpetually driven by the unwavering spirit of those who dare to dream of a better future and who are willing to fight for it.